Okay guys, so it's finally time to give a lot of you guys what you've been asking for, and that is the on the field cast battle between the surprising new 2020 Metanium versus the mighty Antares A, to see if the new Metanium can take the crown of the 1/4 ounce casting plug king. But before we do that, we are going to see if the new Metanium can replicate what it did in the on the water casting video, and that is thrash the old 2016 Metanium in casting distance. And this time around we're actually going to get measurements. So what I did was I went out to the casting field. I used a 1/4 ounce casting plug for all the battles, a 6'6" medium extra fast rod with 10-pound monofilament. And the first battle between the 2016 and the 2020 Metanium was with the brakes set to, I guess, a middle position, basically meaning that both reels had 2 brake blocks on inside, and then the external dials were set to 6, spool tension set to just minimize side-to-side play, and let's see what happened. Okay, so before we get to those results, since I am the most thorough tackle tester on YouTube, I went ahead and I also replicated the cast battle, but with the brakes set to maximum. So that meant all 4 brake shoes on inside with 6 on the external dial, and let's check out what happened. Okay guys, so those 2 cast battles are done, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash the numbers up for the middle brake setting battle. And as you can see, the new 2020 Metanium took a clear and easy victory over the old 2016 with an average of 136.88 feet versus the 113.25 feet of the old model. So not only is that a win, that's just a beatdown. as the new model averaged over 23-foot longer casts with the 1/4 ounce casting plug, with the brakes set to their middle position. So now let's get to the maximum braking results. And as you can see, the 2020 model, not surprisingly, took this battle as well, with an average of 94.7 feet versus the 2016 model averaging 84.5 feet. So not quite as bad a loss for the old model this time, as it lost by around 10-foot average per cast. But with these results, what you can clearly see is that the new 2020 model pretty much will outcast the old 2016 model throughout the entire brake setting range. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't do a brakes back down to the minimum long cast battle, that's because I'm going to run both of these two reels through the standardized testing with lures, and we're going to see what's up with that. Now, these results are very, very surprising in my opinion, because the spools on both of these reels are roughly pretty much the same weight, and since both of these are JDM models, they have the same line capacity. So I mean, the only thing I could think of is that the narrower MGL3 spool of the 2020 model is just that superior in casting distance. Okay, so we're going to remove the 2016 model because it's time to get to the main event, the battle against the mighty Antares for the 1/4 ounce casting plug title. So ever since the Shimano Antares A barely beat out the 2016 Metanium MGL for the 1/4 ounce casting plug crown, there have been several challengers to take on the Antares, and it's pretty much dusted them all off, and dusted them all off pretty easily as well. And we're not talking about, you know, some cheap AliExpress Chinese bait casters. We're talking about the $550 DAIWA STEEZ. We're talking the $300 Abu Garcia REVO Premier, the REVO EXD that's made for long casting, the Bluger Patriarch XT, and the $500 REVO MG Extreme. So going into this battle, I was pretty sure that the Antares would win, but the question was, by how much? So I'm gonna go ahead and flash the numbers up for you guys. And as you can see, the big shocker is it lost. Now the Metanium averaged 167.85 feet, while the Antares put up its poorest showing in this contest yet at 164.9 feet. So about a 1 yard or 3 foot advantage for the new 2020 Metanium. Now, in case you're thinking this might be a fluke, I actually attempted this battle last weekend, and I had completed all the film casts for the Metanium, and I was starting up with the Antares, but it started raining, so I had to quit. But even so, all the pre-measurements I was making with the Antares showed me that the Metanium outcasted it last weekend as well. So that's quite a big shocker, because you know, the Antares actually has a 1 gram lighter spool than the Metanium, which should pay dividends in this battle. Now, I will tell you this, if we were throwing something like a 1/8 ounce lure, or maybe even slightly lower, I think the Antares would be a better caster in that situation, just based on my memory. So for all you guys who are curious about the brake settings for this battle, both reels could only go down to 2 brakes on inside, 2 brakes off. Spool tension set to just minimize the side-to-side play for both. The Metanium external dial was set to between 3.5 and 4. And on the Antares, it was set to whatever this is right here, somewhere around the middle, since it has no numbers. So I was trying to figure out why did this Metanium win, and not only once but twice in my opinion, and the only thing I can think of is the spool brake hub position, and let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I got the spools out, and this is the Metanium spool, and here's the Antares spool, and the spools are the same dimensions. So 34 millimeters in diameter by 19 millimeters in width. They both hold the same amount of line. So how did the heavier spooled Metanium beat out the lighter spooled Antares? And I mean, this is only a theory, but might have something to do with the positioning of the brake hub assembly. As you can see, the Metanium brake hub sticks out noticeably further than the Antares. And I'm not sure why that would make a difference. Maybe Shimano saw that they could improve some things in the Metanium versus the Antares, and maybe that's why they did it. But once again, that's just a theory as to possibly why the new Metanium casts so good. So I think it's pretty obvious by now that these new narrower NGL3 spools are legit. They definitely give you an increase in casting performance, but at the same time, since they're so narrow, you don't have to poke the line guide so far out, and that gives you the ability to make smaller, more compact reels, which Shimano has accomplished in these two. But let me show you guys something. Now, these are not the first time Shimano has made narrow spools, and check this thing out right here. Now, this is a reel that I stole from my cousin, and he stole it from his dad. And this thing has got to be at least 30 years old, so probably older than a lot of you guys even watching this. It's called the Shimano P150 Mag. It is so old it doesn't even have a thumb bar. It's got this clutch release up here. It's got the 4-point drag star, but check this out. Look how narrow the spool is on this old ass reel. It's pretty deep, but it's also pretty narrow. Can barely fit my thumb in there. It's probably the same width as these other two reels. So this just proves a point that I had made to a subscriber a few months ago, that fishing tackle is a big circle. So basically, you know, one technology is going to go away, but then it'll eventually come back around. Now, for all you older guys, I have no idea how old this reel is. If you know when this came out, let me know in the comments. Now, the reason I took this was I was going to see just how this thing performs. I'm going to cast it around and maybe even try to catch a fish on it, even though I'm a righty. But it's still going strong, as you can see. Alright guys, so as you can see, the new 2020 Shimano Metanium is definitely legit, and currently the best casting reel that I own in the 1/4 ounce casting blood category. So if you're on the fence about getting this reel, I wouldn't hesitate to go ahead and buy it. I mean, it's got its improvements over the old model in a lot of other areas as well. And yeah, all right guys, thanks a lot.